Hello, everyone. I'm sorry that I'm late. Let's see who's in here. I'm like 30 minutes late. Oh, let's see. I see 35 people waiting, but 58 people been in here. Let's see. I see the Black Barbie, Rita Wilson, Angel the Real Boss, Diane Brown, Fun with Granny Who, M. Rose, Straight to the Point, Island Girl, Yolanda McCarter, Tyranny, Miss Nelly, um, let's say TV 21, Positive Vibes. Okay. Yeah, we just waiting. I'm just waiting. I'm sorry, y'all. Of course, y'all know I am. I know I had. It's been a lot of stuff going on since I haven't been on, but I had to make sure that I got on. I had a festive day today. Of course, y'all know that I am vacationing in the Chi-Town. Okay, I told you I was coming to Chicago. I told you I was coming to Chicago. Hey, Charlie Berry. Hey, it's Naya. And this climate has really messed up my sinuses. Tequila, she said, my hometown. I have enjoyed myself. Devontae, he said, hello, Miss Tam. Just wanted to holler. I'm glad you hollered. Hold on, you guys. Let me turn on the. I'm sorry that I'm 30 minutes late. I just got back in here. I've been trying to come on now for 2 nights, but I'm going to wind on down tonight so that I can prepare myself because I'll be at home first in the morning. I'll be home tomorrow afternoon, rather. Um, Mine's to make sure you hit Portillo. Oh, Portillo's has, I love Portillo's. Their bread and stuff is even good. I promise you. Their bread and stuff is even good. It's something about the different climates. Now, it's been really nice. I thought it would be cold, but it hasn't been cold. There's been a chill, but it's been nice. Like earlier today, it was hot. Um, I'm just waiting for more people to come in. It was hot to me. It was like in the 70s, but they're hot. Their 70s is kind of different. She said, "Glad you enjoyed your trip. Thank you. I'm glad that I've enjoyed too." Let's see. I got one more trip this year. I got one more trip this year, and then hey, fat. We with you in Arkansas, baby, as always. Thank you, fat. What part of Arkansas are you from? I like Arkansas. I do. I like Arkansas. Um, hey, Miss Sherry, your choice towing. Yes, I was like 30 minutes late. I was running. I was like, I got to let me go ahead and yeah, I done almost oh Lord Jesus. Anyways, child. But y'all make sure y'all hit the like button. Okay, so Little Rock, Arkansas. Thank you. He said, Little Rock, Arkansas, we love you. I love Little Rock, Arkansas. I used to always be in Pine Bluff. Arkansas, working. Anyways, you guys, I wanted to talk about while I've been here, I've been getting people to reach out to me, like Miss sending me things. Okay, Miss D sent me something. Paper Route Woo did an interview. Also, shout out to Raven. She sent me the interview that Hernandez Govan's attorney did on Vlad. You know, Vlad has been dropping pieces and pieces of the interview, and I think I'm starting to see the picture a little clearer. Although I think I kind of told y'all, I you know that what I had thought, anyways, as it relates to when Manny was in court. Okay, Manny was in court when he was cross-examining um, Cornelius. Okay, we never heard Yogotti's name come up so much. Okay, Straight Drop's attorney kind of threw CMG out there, but Manny has been extremely bold and explicit in placing the blame. Okay, and now remember, now Manny is an attorney, and so attorneys normally, because of lawsuits and stuff, they don't throw stuff out there unless there's some type of proof. Okay. So Manny has spoken with his client, and then I do believe Manny has heard other things. I think Manny and them kind of dug deep in this because of course, uh Quit knows a lot about this situation and who the of course Quit probably didn't want to say who the payors were. Okay, but through his attorney, he can say it. Okay, so I want to pull up. Y'all make sure y'all hit the like button. I want to pull this up. Okay. I told y'all. I done tried to tell y'all. I think they put out some more parts because Vlad has been putting out quite a few parts. Um, Shout out to Vlad. Let's see. I think this is it. Hold on. I tell you what, because I think Raven sent me this yesterday. Hold on, you guys. You all make sure y'all hit the like button for me, okay? Make sure you guys please like, share, and subscribe. Make sure you guys please like, share, and subscribe. Uh, I'm about to pull it up.
Okay, so then the trial begins on August 18th, 2025, less than a week ago.
Yeah.
So the prosecutors, they didn't accuse you of the shooting, but they said that you directed the two people that did. And with that, they showed a bunch of, cell phone records of you talking to both of them leading up to the situation, as well as Big Jook and so forth. Now, your lawyer started to kind of rip apart this whole situation. Well, actually, what is he? Maybe bring the lawyer in at this point? Well, you actually brought your lawyer.
What's up, the Alabama hitter?
For this interview. I think this is actually a good place to actually
Hey,
start
Tequila.
with him as being part of this interview. Now, Manny, you're now going into this case representing your client who's facing life in prison.
Yes.
Now, we talked about how you worked out a 10-year plea deal and it fell through because of the family. Were you surprised that actually happened?
It's hard to say how I felt about it because this is something that his son wanted, and his son is autistic, essentially nonverbal, but with what we could understand, He's just like, Dad, if there's any risk, don't do it. Just make sure you get home to me. And his son's 15 years old. And you can have all the confidence as a lawyer in the world, but there is always a chance that you lose. And when it's a mandatory life, it's a hell of a risk. I'm not the one going to jail, so I can't tell him what to do. I got my marching orders. We tried to do the best that we could. And frankly, the 3 other lawyers from my office that I brought with me, I think we were almost getting ready to pack up, thinking it's a done deal after we met with the elected DA. And then shortly thereafter, a couple hours later, they said, we take it back. I mean, the paperwork was signed. And so I've never experienced that before.
Okay, what he's saying is that they had signed a deal for 10 years. And the district attorney took it back. Now, allegedly, they're saying that Young Dolph's family was not satisfied, allegedly, with the 10 years. Okay. Allegedly. Okay.
And it turned out to be a blessing.
Okay, so now you're going into trial.
Yes.
Leading into the case, you have one of the shooters, Cornelius, who was essentially saying that your client was the mastermind and he was supposed to get $100,000 and pay the shooters and take a cut for himself.
Yes.
Were you worried that someone was actually taking the stand and testifying against your client?
He wasn't the worry for me. It was going to be how the government was going to spin the phone records. The reason Cornelius wasn't a worry for us is because he was just implying that he didn't even know there was a price on Dolph's head. Dolph had performed a song not too long ago prior to his murder talking about there's a price on his head. He'd moved out of Memphis for that reason. The PRE people had shot at CMG. Dolph, as you learned during trial, actually had been shot 3 times in the past, and there were 3 bullets that were old lodged in his body when they did the autopsy on this case. And so even as a mediocre lawyer, the fact that the guy shooting the machine gun that essentially killed Dolph is now in bed with the state gave me confidence that he was going to lie about a lot of stuff and he would be relatively easy to trip up on cross-examination.
Right, because at the time, Cornelius Smith had been charged with murder and conspiracy to commit murder, but he had actually not pled guilty at the time, right?
He hasn't even pled guilty yet.
He was, and there's still no court date for him.
No, he was indicted in early January of 2022, and he's still pending a plea date or a trial date.
Okay, so from your point of view, here's a guy that's trying to get out of doing life in prison.
Absolutely.
By pointing the finger at Hernandez.
You got to point it at somebody. And I guess he had a deal worked out with Gotti or whatever as it came out in trial that Gotti paid for his legal fees. There was issues with lawyers and how they got the cash and, what happened with it.
Okay, so it sounds like to me that Manny is saying, he says Cornelius had a deal worked out with Yogotti, okay? He says that Yogotti paid for his lawyers, so it seems to me that Manny is saying that Cornelius worked out a deal with Gotti to put everything on Govan rather than to make sure that it didn't push back up to him. But I do believe that Cornelius did say that Juke was involved. Okay.
And it was just a complete mess, and his testimony was all over the place.
Well, right, because you kind of touched on this just now. After Cornelius was arrested, his attorney allegedly called Big Juke's attorney and got around $50,000 in cash.
Yes. That's how it happened. And then that lawyer got kicked off the case for some reason. And then $38,000 magically appeared to another lawyer who had happened to represent a fellow who had snitched on co-defendants in another murder case in Memphis and gotten a walk. And we ended up finding the letters that Cornelius had written to one of his sisters talking about that how he's going to be coming home, everybody be cool. And that's where we were. The government then said, well, let's call your girlfriend at the time, one of 2 or 3, I guess. And she just repeated what he told her. And even then she sort of tripped up, as we established that Cornelius, even while in jail, had his family contact her prior to her making a statement. So yeah, it was just really crazy. And I think one of the reasons why I lashed out at the government, even at trial, and then subsequently just after the emotion of the acquittal happened, is I don't know how a lawyer, an elected DA, could let this thing go to trial. I understand the elected DA's never, I don't think, done a case before. He was a law professor prior to becoming a DA. And the two lawyers that actually tried the case were very professional, excellent lawyers, but they were put in a no-win situation. And frankly, I felt bad for them, but they treated us as professionally as anything. It's just their boss that I had a problem with.
Well, didn't Cornelius take the stand and say that he had heard that Hernandez might be working with the FBI?
He said prior to even agreeing to this deal with Hernandez, that Hernandez might be working with the FBI. So my question was, well, why would you agree to commit a conspiracy with a guy that you think might be a snitch? And his response was, well, he'd never snitched on me before, so I didn't know if I believed it. And, there's no response to that. I don't know what question you can do to follow up that one. At that point, you just say, okay.
Right, because Cornelius was also the main witness against Straight Drop as well.
Yes, well, Straight Drop in Cornelius's defense, I mean, it was all over video, right?
Yeah.
They took the videos, they had the tags, they followed the car throughout the streets with the Memphis Police Department cameras. They saw where it went. They were wearing, Justin Johnson was wearing a very distinctive hat, a certain outfit. They found all those clothes. So while Cornelius was helpful in his case, the video evidence was just devastating, as well as the cell phone evidence where Justin Johnson and Juk had communicated regularly, including the night before the murder where he sent him a turkey emoji.
Well, on the stand, Cornelius.
So he's saying that Juk had communicated with Straight Drop the night before the murder. Now, of course, we have to understand now Manny's job is to make sure that he minimizes, his client's involvement, right? That's what all attorneys do. But what I do see Manny doing is not being afraid. I think he wants it out because, of course, they said that Quet was the mastermind and Quet had paid for the hit. Now, we already knew that Quet never paid for a hit because he ain't had the money to pay for it. Now, he may have been given some money to distribute, but he never paid for the hit. But what I see is Manny directing. He's wanting for everybody to know that Yogotti paid for this hit. Because if you remember when he was in court, he even said that Juk didn't have the money, that kind of money to pay for a hit. So he's being bold and directing the blame and letting everybody know who the mastermind is. Okay. And if you listen to Manny, I think he's kind of giving you maybe a little synopsis of what's to come. Okay.
This also implied that Hernandez was trying to backdoor the situation through the mother of one of the artists, Paper Route Wu.
None of that ever happened. The whole paper route thing is something Justin did on his own. And we had the text messages that we presented at trial where he's talking to other folks along the way, like TZ and some other nicknames, that said, somebody saw somebody here, we're going to pull up. We might bring a stolen car, all those kinds of things. It had nothing to do with Mr. Govan. So when you're facing life in prison, the question you ask yourself is, what are you willing to do to get out of it? And yes, there's phone records, but they don't tell you what they talked about, if in fact they talked. So you can make anything up. And if the government's buying and you're selling, you get yourself a deal.
Right. You referred to him as a pathological liar, Cornelius.
Everything. For example, Cornelius said he was shot in the shoulder, didn't get medical treatment for nearly a month, that the bullet was lodged really close to his neck or above his shoulder because it went through his upper arm. How did he not get an infection for a month? That's just beyond comprehension to me. The Mercedes that they found had no blood in it. Where did the blood go? Cornelius also said he wiped it down to try to explain where the blood might have gone. Well, we have science. We've had it for decades where they can see with the Blue Star whether you've used bleach or anything to wipe it down. Because if it was that simple, you could wipe down any murder scene and nobody would know. And so there was no bleach. That didn't happen. The stuff with receipts or whatever he said didn't happen. The fact that he claimed that he had his girlfriend reach out to Johnson to reach out to Govan, none of that stuff happened because in the text messages, the government conflated Quet, which was Govan's nickname, with Quez. Marquez Smith is Cornelius's brother. So when he was talking about, I need the number for Quez, I don't know why the government thought that meant Quet, or somehow that was a typo, without realizing that his brother's nickname was Quez. And so the lead detective that's retired was one of the most honorable and decent human beings I've ever come across, because he identified all those issues. And he also said, we screwed up and didn't do X, Y, and Z, like I pointed out. His colleague that's still...
I don't think that the detective admitted that it was Quez that they was trying to reach out to, but I do think that he admitted that they didn't follow through on certain things. Like they could have gone and gotten a video, like right to see if video worked. They could have at least tried to follow up to see if there was video at the car wash, and they didn't do that, because if they had, they could have at least said, well, we went and the video had been deleted, or we just were not able to, the cameras didn't work, because oftentimes at businesses like that, the cameras don't even work anymore. We went to try and follow up, the cameras were not working. At least that would have looked better than just saying, well, you know what, we just didn't go. Okay, I think that's one of the things that he did admit, but I don't remember him saying that the quiz, it was quiz instead of quiz. So I mean, Manny is good at spinning stuff. Okay, he is. He's good at spinning.
later came out there, and if anybody, I think, objectively watches the cross-examination, he couldn't answer a yes/no question straight. It was always, well, what we mean to do is this. And then when you corner him, well, that wasn't my area. That was the second part of this. But then he has this great memory suddenly, if he wants to say something. And
But one thing I got to give them is that Manny is not letting up off of Yogotti. Okay, and it just kind of leads me to believe, because if you pay close attention, Manny is hard on the district attorney Steve Mulroy. He's on the neck of Steve Mulroy, and he's on the neck of Yogotti. Okay, and evidently Manny must know something. Okay, as it relates to that, you know what I mean? He's on the neck of Yogotti, and he's on the neck of Steve Mulroy. I mean, everybody already know Yogotti paid for that hit. It's good to hear Quet is not saying it, but we know his attorney speaks for him. Okay, so it's good to see that at least somebody that was involved in this situation, that hey, at some point, okay, I believe more is going to come out. Okay, as it relates to that. So we just heard Manny say that Yogotti was the payor. Okay. And I believe later on, I just believe later on that Manny, because it seemed like to me he's brave enough to say he speaks for his client that Yogotti was involved in this. Okay. Because they probably noticed I'm sure they all know it's some type of federal situation going on, and Quet wants to be totally omitted. All right. But we all know that Yogotti did pay for the hit. Okay. He said Juke didn't pay for it. Okay. He said, well, the check cleared for Mulroy. Well, I think Mulroy is in trouble professionally. He knows that he'll never be reelected ever again. And if it's up to Brent Taylor, Senator Brent Taylor, he probably won't finish his term. Okay. He probably won't even finish his term because they've been trying to remove him for whatever reasons. I think it's more that meets the eye as it relates to that. Okay. And so as a matter of fact, I don't know if I believe that he's going to finish his term. I think something is going to force him out. Okay. She said, recall his tail. But I pay attention to how Manny he calls out Yogotti, and he calls out the district attorney. Okay. She said, let's go, Miami. The Vols won and Bama is finished. She says Mulroy has been bought. And I think a lot of people believe that. Okay. Hey. But I think we're starting to get bits and pieces of it. More of what we kind of new is starting to come out, and I know a lot of people didn't want to believe that, but those that knew, okay, that Yogotti had paid for this hit. And who was that? Somebody, my sister, somebody said that she was looking at something Yogotti um said. He said something about he don't know about none of this that's going on. He's over in he was vacationing somewhere, okay? So I guess it's gonna be convenient for him to stay out of the country for a little while, but child, that ain't gonna help him none. Because when they get ready, when it's time, they're gonna go and get him. Okay. Let's see. I wanted to show you all something else. Okay. So we heard Cornelia Smith, and y'all, and my voice sounds a certain way. It's because I can feel my head and stuff getting stopped up each and every time I go to another state, especially when I come up north, or it could just be any other, especially when it's starting to get cool. When I start come to other climates, it messes with my throat. Hold on, y'all. Hold on. Did they give you some hot peppers with that? Huh? Okay. I just want a little piece. Okay. It's good. Mhm.
And everything, man, overseas. How was that, man?
You know what? The tour was fucking lit. I ain't gonna even hold you. The tour lit as fuck. But I ain't even get to go overseas. Fool. Little bullshit. I ain't even get to go overseas. But shit, the tour lit as fuck. Got a lot of new fans, met a lot of new people. Shit, I traveled the world. Shit. What can you ask for around this bitch?
What's some of the
I'll be
some
off
of the
in a
live
minute.
shit, man?
I'll be
I
off
was
in a minute.
Live shit. I was on tour, fool. I was knocking features and shit down. I ain't gonna hold you. I was on that bitch trying to get some money. On that bitch knocking features down. Back to back to back. First stop, beach. Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Doing features. I probably did like 4-5 features on the tour and shit like that.
Okay. Just getting your bag and shit. I feel that. Now, you record some new music on tour?
Yeah, I did. I recorded a lot of new music. My tape about to get ready to drop. Shit, in a month.
Next month. You got a name for it?
Slime Donkey. You know what I mean? Slime Donkey. Fight fool. You want to be fresh. You got to do shit. You want to do shit. You feel me? I'm just chilling though. That shit was all right. You can't play with me. I ain't the one to be played with. Like
These niggas, like, what's up, fool?
applying press, belt, applying press. It is what it is.
They hate to see that shit, huh?
Yeah, they think they gonna keep me slipping, man. Shit, no go. On point at all times, ready to do whatever, however, whenever, wherever.
Yeah, cause I ain't gonna lie. That man said, bro, that man said he caught you coming at the crib, you know what I'm saying? They said they tried to chase you and shit.
Thank you so much,
Like,
Miriam.
All that shit true. But shit, you know me, bro.
made it up.
Fuck making it out. I banged it out. You hear that shit get going on and shit just get coming out. You feel what I'm saying? Like,
So he's saying what Cornelia said is true.
Like, I'm shoot that pill.
Man,
Now he said what Cornelia said is true. Manny said that it never happened, but Paper Route Woo is saying that it did happen.
Whatever you want to do, I'm shoot that fire.
For anybody who don't know, you know what I'm saying, just give them your side of, you know what I'm saying, what went down, you know what I'm saying, on, you know what I'm saying, those instances, like from your perspective.
Shit, coming out the house, shit. First I was there, coming out the house. And shit, I'm locking my door, walking my car, shit, gunshot, do. See a nigga cross the street shooting it. What the fuck he do that for? I shit, me being me, I defended myself. So you feel what I'm saying? I banged it out with a nigga ass. You feel what I'm saying?
He's saying he walked outside.
104, however.
I don't know why it's low. Can y'all hear him? Because it's really low on my end. Basically, he's saying he walked outside. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna rewind it just a little bit and walk to his car, and he sees some people across the street shooting at him.
See a nigga cross the street shooting him. What the fuck he?
Damn, you know what I'm saying, on, you know what I'm saying, those instances, like from your perspective.
Shit, coming out the house, shit. First I was there, coming out the house. And shit, I'm locking my door, walking my car, shit, gunshot, do. See a nigga cross the street shooting him. What the fuck he do that for? I shit, me being me, I defended myself. So you feel what I'm saying? I banged it out with a nigga ass. You feel what I'm saying? 105, 104, however it was. Shit, bang it out. You don't do it. Feel what I'm saying? Shot majority of my bullets. I wasn't no dumbass shoot all my bullets, but shit, after I shot majority on my hit a free cone, you know what I mean? Hop the gate, shit like that. You know what I'm saying? By them being so deep though, you feel me?
It happened like Cornelia said. He said they was deep. If that means it was a lot of them. It was just like Cornelia said.
I just held my bed. And niggas saying I was a rat. I had ended up calling the police though. I did that, but that was just to make sure food like wasn't no innocent bystanders hit. One of them niggas went dead, and shit. I had to do a report like in case I wanted to do an insurance claim because they shot a nigga house up and nigga cars and shit. I ain't followed through. I ain't talked to him and shit. I just called them. You feel me? So they can pull over because 104 mind me. So I'm just a smart guy.
And about them, you know what I'm saying, sleep chasing you and shit. You know what I'm saying? How you managed to get the fuck out of it?
Shit, on point, fool. Like, on point. I was just on point. At the time, nigga knew what nigga was riding and shit. I was just on point. Just watching my mirrors and shit. You feel me? That was on point. You feel me? Can't go. I'm on point watching this shit. And
is that a major point in the street food? You know what I'm saying? Just
thank you, Marion.
Just being able to, like, you know what I'm saying, like watch your mirrors and shit, you know, just knowing like your surroundings at all times.
Major point. Hell yeah. You gotta be on point.
Jay Dropper Wu didn't make no statement to the police. He said he called the police because they shot up his house just in case he needed to file. And they shot up his house, they shot up his car. You have to file. I'm gonna tell you right now, if you got insurance on anything, your house, your car, anybody know that if they've ever had insurance, some of these, look, don't get me started. Some of these, y'all, I'm trying to be good. Some of these folks wouldn't know that. I ain't talking about you, Jay Dropper, but some of these damn folks wouldn't know that because they ain't never had a damn thing. Okay, so they don't know that you have to file a police report in order for your insurance to pay for some shit if they ain't never had shit. Okay, so that's what he had to do because he had insurance and stuff on his house and on his car. So I mean, you have to file a report. Hell, I would do it too. Somebody shot up my house. I don't know who it was. Okay, the police didn't. Somebody shot up my house. I don't know who it was. Okay, but if he had, I wouldn't look at him as no rat because I think more of these folks need to start telling the police and calling the police on folks. You know why? Because a lot of these folks would rather die than go to jail because they too scared to go to jail. That's why some of their asses need to be in jail. Okay. Because they say, ooh, just kill me. I don't want to go to jail around other men that beat me up. Because they already know they can't survive without a gun. Okay? Don't get me started. Anyways, I digress. I done been out in these Chicago streets. I ain't going to act up today.
24/7 around
My
these
head
bitches,
stopped
especially
up.
if you in the streets. If you ain't no street nigga, ain't in the streets and shit, you don't be having shit to worry about. You just live your life and be regular, but street nigga and shit, bro, you gotta be on point. You got all time, you gotta be on 10. You can't be on 5. You feel me? Fuck around, get took off around this shit.
Now, we all heard, them come down.
So when you say if you claim he did keep it street, hey, you already know I believes in telling the police everything. Okay, that's how I do it. All right, but the boy didn't give no statement. He didn't give no statement. Okay, what's Wu name? I can prove to you that he didn't give no statement. What's his name? Because I'll pull it up.
With the not guilty verdict. I'm pretty sure we all was taken by surprise by that. What's your thoughts on it?
Shit, bro, I ain't wishing jail on no nigga. You feel what I'm saying? I ain't wishing jail on no nigga. Guilty, not guilty. I ain't wishing jail.
Thank you, Marion, for another $4.99 super sticker. I appreciate that.
You don't wish jail on none of them?
I don't wish jail on no nigga. I wish them niggas were out. Them nigga, shit going on. Shit just get coming out. However, you feel me? But shit,
That's
everybody have that day. Every dog have that day, but it's all good. You feel me? My nigga is out here just moving loose and lollygagging and doing all these interviews and shit now, bro. Nigga need to be praying to God. But shit, it's all good though.
Yeah, cause
talking about this shit, bro. They already just brought my name up and all this shit.
Yeah.
Like this shit really wasn't no Govan trial. This shit was a paper route Wu trial. I heard my name more than any fuck about it. You feel what I'm saying? Like, I don't know, man. I don't know what Bud Ass gonna do, man. Bud Ass be alright, man. I think his ass took a profit plea. A profit plea. I don't know what the fuck that consists of. I think it consists of rat, but I don't know.
the justice system, though. Like even though you don't wish jail on nobody, you know what I'm saying? Do you blame them because it's like they had so much evidence against it?
I don't really. I don't, cause shit. I don't, fool. I don't blame the justice because if they wanted to convict him, they could have convicted him. You feel what I'm saying? Like, we ain't gonna blame it on the justice system. So shit. Some shit just work out in people's favor, bro. For real though.
That's a big ass favor.
That's a big ass favor, but you know, some shit just work out in nigga favor. People.
That's crazy. Yeah, cause them folks said bro was trying to play up under your family and everything.
Bro,
Like,
let me tell you this. Dude can never play under my mama. Dude can never get near my mama. Like, wasn't none of that shit. All that shit, bro was talking about all that. He was gonna try it, nigga. He was going. You heard him. Key word was gonna try it. My mama ain't going for this. My mama me, but she just a woman. You feel what I'm saying? My mama don't go for none of that shit. My mama real deal. Come on, man, my baby. We ain't going for none of that. All that trying to play under. We ain't on all that, bro. They're gonna be the quicker way for a nigga to die. You know?
shout out Mama Woo then.
Shout out my dude. My dude's not going for that shit. On God.
Not going for that.
I ain't going for that shit. I'm just keeping that shit. Me and my mama like some sister and brother. She ain't going for that shit.
Felt that.
We had these talks and conversations. I have to put my mama no more points. So shit, you feel me? So hey, you know what's going on.
Man, now, you know, of course, you know, they gonna bring back old photos and shit. So I'm gonna ask you this because I know you've been around for a long time. Was was Straight Drop, Cornelius, Bobby, and
I can't
any of
pull it
them?
up right
Was
now.
any of them like around y'all like back in the day type shit?
Hell no. Nigga wasn't around this. Nigga wasn't around this. We don't even know Cornelius or Bobby. I probably God. Like I don't know. I ain't know Cornelius from Can of Paint. Bobby. I ain't know him, but shit. That fuck nigga dead right now, so I don't give a fuck. You know what I mean? Cornelius, life, drop, life. Shit. It's the route they chose. Like we wasn't niggas. We was just all like a part of something. You feel what I'm saying? Like he younger than us, so he wasn't really. They weren't really like
Yeah,
kicking it with us and shit. Like
yeah,
we was with J Money and them. Like
type shit.
it was all us. Like young niggas, they just young. But I don't know Cornelius from Can of Paint. I ain't know Bobby from Can of Paint. Shit. You know what it is? Shit.
Yeah, man. Cause now how you feel when you find, well, if you found out, when you found out that the nigga Govan was a confidential informant for like a long ass time.
Shit, I don't know. This going down there and shit. You feel me? So I don't really know. You feel me? That nigga rat. That nigga son called him a rat, so he a rat. So shit. You know what it is. I don't know too much about the nigga. I just know shit. He going down and he'll fuck nigga. That's all I know. They said he a rat. So shit.
You fuck nigga. Goddamn. Man. What you think Govan need to do from here on out?
He need to make himself a wheel and go pick out his casket and shit. But shit like that. That's all he need to go do. That's all. Man, like fat meat grease around this bitch. They don't think fat meat grease. Let me rephrase that. Yeah, don't think fat meat grease. Yo, his ass need to go do. Yeah. by that trip.
Yeah, that might true. Alright, that fucked up, bro. Alright, what new features you got on this motherfucking album?
Shout out to Paper Route Wool. I will say this. I think that Paper Route Wool, like I said, is very underrated. He's very talented. I think I've been saying that, and I wish in the past he had taken more seriously. It seems like because he's been on tour with Key Glock, and seems like he's getting more into the rap again. Okay. Um, why they wanted to take Paper Route Wu, I was listening to him say that they weren't after. He said it wasn't true that they was after all of the Paper Route guys. He said they was just after him. Okay, he says that they were just after him. So it makes me believe, because it seems to be one of a few words. Okay, a person of few words. Okay, I think he knows. What's going on. And they was trying to. He said they was just trying to get at him. And I could tell, even though he does not say it, I could tell that, hey, OG Snake Spotter, he's not happy about. Yeah, he's mad about his mother's name coming up in there. Cornelius saying them wanted that they was gonna try to play up under. Govan was supposedly gonna try to play up under his mom. I'm sure that would make anybody mad, to try to get to her son. Now, of all people, I think he would know if it's true or not. Of course, he's not gonna say, but too much. But hey, I wish Wu the best. I hope that he goes far. Um, if anything happens to him, we gonna know Govan and them did it, right? So we know that they wouldn't be a damn fool to go and try to um, you know, do anything to Paper Route Wu. I just don't believe that they would be. I hope they wouldn't be crazy enough to do that, because what we do understand is these people are so. It's something going on. It's something wrong when people think that they're supposed to be able to kill you over words. Okay, so hopefully, Govan wouldn't get nobody to go do that. Okay, but yeah, shout out to Paper Route Wu. Okay. We can't be mad at Paper Route Wu for feeling a certain way. His name kept coming up in the trial. He didn't tell that they had been shooting at him. His name was coming up, like he said, it was the Paper Route Wu trial. Okay, and for somebody's mom to come up in a situation, hey, I'm sure it did make him mad. Okay, so y'all just leave Paper Route Wu alone. Okay, just let him be great. Y'all hit that like button. I know folks be sitting up trying to get mad at me because they feel like, somebody posted that I'm posted a comment saying that I'm partial. They think that I'm slick partial. No, I'm not slick partial. I'm flat out. I stands on the side of what's right. I don't never try to hide nothing. Y'all know me. I don't try to hide it. So when folks say, well, you taking sides when it come to Yogotti and Young Dog, you damn right. They ain't had no business killing that boy. Y'all think I'm going to hide it? Y'all don't think I've never hid it. Okay? They was wrong. I think more people should stand on the side of what's right. I ain't no damn fool. If you got something to lose, you don't go and pay somebody to go kill a man just because you got your damn feelings hurt. So when folks say, well, they just want Gotti to lose everything, he must want himself to lose everything. How in the hell you gonna get your ass that emotional to the point that you go pay some people, you send your brother on a witch hunt to find some folks to take out a man? Okay, so he did it to himself. And I think what people got to start doing is standing on the side of what's right, because it's going to be a whole lot of people to lose, okay, when they think that they can go and start killing people just because they say something that they don't want to say. They're going to keep the feds on top of their heads, and they're going to lose everything. One thing I do know, it ain't worth me losing nothing just because a person decide that they want to spew words out there. There's other ways to get at them to cause some discomfort. You find legal ways to get at them, okay? Oh, okay, so you doing this. Well, I'm gonna put police on you. Well, I don't have no issues with it, okay? But I'm not going to, I ain't get ready to be sending no hits, okay? I ain't get ready to try to knock nobody down, not unless they are a threat to my person. So I think this is what these people are gonna have to, learn. Okay. And so when people say, well, I was reading the comment earlier today, and it was like, a person, Yogotti won. Yogotti ain't win nothing. Yogotti knows that he's getting ready to be in a fight for his life. Now, he may not go to jail, okay? But that ass gonna know he been in a fight. Because if y'all think that Manny ain't saying Yogotti's name for nothing, the man is laying the map out. He's laying out the blueprint of what's to come. I done told y'all what's gonna come. See, folks don't be wanting to listen to me because in their minds, okay, even though the majority of what I say happened, it just in their minds, they just don't want to accept that I might know something, even though they know I do. Okay. No, Tamara don't. She just talking. She don't know nothing. Okay. I done told y'all. I mean, you don't even have to believe me. We've heard the police director talk about it in the very beginning. We've heard Straight Drop's attorney talk about it and we've heard many talk about it. Okay, I don't really know how much more. Those defense attorneys are being slick when they put that out there. You don't never hear the state really talk about the feds, but each and every time you hear the defense talk about, okay, well, Cornelius signed a deal to work with the feds. We've heard proper deals being signed with the feds. Okay, we've heard all of this. Okay, we've heard Manny be bold enough, and Manny is only omitting his client, and I ain't mad at Manny for that, as it relates to, because the state wants to put the jacket on Quet's back that Quet actually paid for the hit. Now, Quet might have been given some money to go and pay the hitters. I don't know. But as far as going to his account and paying for lawyers and paying for hits, Quet ain't did that. He might have been a recipient, but he ain't paid for no damn hits. And so what Manny does is he pushes it back up to the person, okay, that it should be pushed up to. You didn't even really hear the state talk. They would say CMG, but they wouldn't say Yogotti. Manny totally removed the veil, okay? And like I said, Manny has been on the neck of Yogotti, and he's been on the neck of Steve Mulroy, okay? So maybe he think it's something going on there. And Rose says, you can't win if you killed your competition. Fact, sucker shit. Don't get no respect, right? You go kill your competition, you really should be fouled out. That means you too weak to be in this game. Okay? You too weak to be in the game if you gonna go kill your competition. You kill your competition because of words. You don't even qualify no more. Okay? I mean, that's how it was in my day. Okay? As a matter of fact, we didn't even entertain that because you had some of the elders. Thank you, King Cooper. You had some of the elders, okay, that would step in. Okay. You had some of the elders that would step in and say, it ain't get ready to be. No, when you didn't even talk about no killing. Okay. You didn't even talk about killing your competition because you had the OGs that would step in and diffuse that. I'm gonna tell you what I got an issue with what's going on now. Okay. Now, a lot of these OGs like Yo Gotti and Orange Mound Quit and all of them, we all came from the same era. So they already know that we didn't do this type of stuff. Okay. You didn't fire up that weapon unless a person was a threat to you. Okay, not a competition, but was a threat to your person. Okay. And so what I see now is a lot of these OGs see that a lot of these younger dudes, they are misguided. They don't have no guidance. They're on all types of pills. There's more drugs out there now than ever before. They're on all types of pills. They ain't got no guidance. hell, mama might be on pills, so they're totally misguided, right? And so instead of them saying, you know what, hey, either I can't mess with that person on drugs messed up, or if they mess with you, trying to redirect them, no, bro, we can't send him out here. He messed up like that, caring enough. They like to sit back because they understand how desperate these young dudes are. They like to sit back and send out young dudes that's young enough to be their own children, okay? You have to reap what you sow, though, okay? You have to reap what you sow. And so that's what's going on. They see how these dudes crash out because they totally messed up. The generation that my kids are in, they totally screwed up. On from my kids' generation. That's the reason why I'm always praying, God, cover my kids. I plead the blood of Jesus. I dispatch my warring angels because these kids are messed up. And a lot of them are born messed up because their mamas and stuff was on so much drugs, okay? They're exposed to so much so early on, okay? And so for them to be sitting up, sending out somebody else's child just because they already know they out there crashing out and already misguided, they ought to be ashamed of their damn selves, okay? They ought to be ashamed, okay? But every dog got a day, okay? Every dog got a day. And as my grandma say, and a hound dog got two. And I had to send Stephen this scripture, okay, that one of the women, one of the praying warriors that be praying for me has sent me. And I forget the scripture. Stephen in here, Stephen sent me that scripture, but I paraphrases it, okay? God says, when I get them back for what they did, you gonna witness it, okay? And so I paraphrases it. God says, when I get them back, you're going to see me get them back. A lot of these Negroes, okay, what they don't understand is when all this bad luck and stuff start hitting them, they get to talking about, as I always say, the devil is a liar. Some of these women too, with they no good tales, okay, the devil is a liar. You know how they get churchy, been a devil their whole life, okay, and they start getting churchy. The devil is a liar. He messing with my kids. He messing with my family. And I be thinking, I'll use a lie. You just reaping what you sow. A lot of these folks reaping. They give the devil too much credit. A lot of these folks so dirty, it don't make no sense. It ain't nothing lower than sending out a misguided person. Okay? When you start, Orange Mound, Quet, and Jook ain't have no business even hanging around nobody the same age as they damn kids and grandkids. Straight dropping them is on a totally different age group. That could have been their own darn kids. Why in the world they hanging out with them unless they want to send them out? And that's the reason why I know they got the reap. See, folks ain't righteous no more. They don't want to call it out. They scared to say, oh, no, ain't none of my business. Oh, they wrong. They wrong and they got to pay for it. Okay? And so people want to put everything on the devil. Okay? They want to put everything on the devil. And then I don't understand the mindsets of folks anyway. I like to see how people think. Because I like to see when folks get up in here and they get to talking about, well, you know, young Dawg shouldn't have said that. I like to see how I like to listen to people talk. Okay? I don't even take what people say seriously when we're having conversations eye to eye. Okay, because people put on all types of fronts. I like to sit and watch people in action and talking when they don't know I'm looking at them, because then that's when you get the real person. Okay, that's when you get the real person. And so these dudes sent these young dudes out. Now, people said Straight Drop was already out there crashing out. He was out there crashing out. But just because a person is crashing out, If they got the ear of these little dudes, why don't they try and guide them in the right direction? Why continuously use somebody's child up? Okay? They use him up. That's what they did. They treated him like he was a damn hoe. They helped to ruin his life even more. Okay? They helped to ruin his life even more. And they ought to be ashamed of themselves. And like I said, straight dropping them was never going to get away with it. Because like I told y'all, I was minding my own business one day. Okay? Folks think that I be going trying to get information. It comes to me. All them damn folks. I worked for both police departments. All them damn folks be in these lives. Okay? It came to me. I was on my way out of court one day and saw one of them damn sheriffs. A lot of them sheriffs live over there in Orange Mound. They grew up in Orange Mound and they still got them houses over there. If not, they renovated them and rented them out. But the majority of them have just remodeled their homes and still live over there. The girl stopped me and said, Straight Drop, Mama and I have been best friends since we was in the 2nd grade. And she started pouring out to me. She said, when we saw Justin and them on there, she said, LaRoyce always kept them kids clean and nice. I said, Straight Drop was a handsome little boy, handsome young man. She said, all of LaRoyce's children were beautiful kids, even Junior and the girl too. Okay, so I didn't know none of them folks. She said, and when they put that video out, of them at that cookie shop, even though they had on masks, she said everybody in Orange Mound that grew up in Orange Mound, to include some of the other deputy sheriffs that live in Orange Mound, okay, started calling each other saying, did y'all see that video? That was Justin and them up there at that cookie shop that killed young dog. She said, and they told me, you closer to his mama, call her to see how she doing. She said, and when I called her, she told me the only thing she said is, I'll call you back. And I ain't heard from her from that day to this one. We talked every single day. She said, we knew it was him. Everybody in Orange Mound was calling each other and saying, that was Justin and them. So I don't understand how people ever thought that he was going to get off. Them damn officers of the law. Every police officer ain't crooked. Y'all think they weren't talking? They knew it was him. Okay, just like his mama knew. And I'm not mad at her for sticking behind her child, because, people stick behind their children. Okay? But I think it's a darn shame, when people get to talking about, Gotti would have just had hired a professional. How come he didn't do it? Why didn't he do it then? He didn't do it. Why? You know why? Because he ain't really started going up. Now they say $1.5 million was paid, and I kind of believe that. But if $1.5 million was paid at that point, Gotti wasn't the only one that paid it. If we keep on listening to Manny, it's gonna all come out. Okay? Man, if we keep listening to Manny, Manny knows that it's something else going on, and he wants his client omitted from the second phase. Okay? He gonna put it all out there, and I ain't mad at him. Okay? All you got to do is keep listening to Manny. He gonna tell you every time who it was that paid for that hit. Why in the hell was Steve Mulroy and them charged Orange Mound quit with paying Straight Dropping them? They probably should have put the right charges on him to begin with. Okay. And then what they should have did was, when they got him, if they was gonna charge him with that, because they could have, I guess, they should also charge Juke at the same time instead of waiting on whatever it was they was waiting on. Okay. Because if the state had went ahead and arrested Juke when they said that they was going to arrest him, Juke would have been still alive. Okay. I didn't like about them killing Juke. Okay. I didn't like that. I didn't like that at all. I'm not an evil person. It gives me no pleasure. As a matter of fact, y'all heard me on my damn podcast. I was hollering and crying. Okay. Because I'm sensitive like that. Because it hurt me to see somebody was so insensitive that they would take a photo of that man laying down there dead with his mother hovered over him. I'm a damn mama. What kind of damn woman would I be if I got pleasure out of seeing a mother kneel down over her child in desperation? We knew he was no longer here. You could look at the picture and tell, yes, I hollered and cried. It hurt me. Okay, I'm still a black woman. Okay. But it's Paper Route Wu might know a little something too. Okay, he said it was a proper agreement signed. Okay, I hope they don't go over there and mess with Wu. Quit leave Wu alone. He ain't did nothing to you. Okay, I know Quit being here. I'm telling him now, leave him alone. Yolanda says, I knew it was something when they lowered his bond. He said moral play. I don't, I think Manny knows something. Okay, as it relates to that. Like I said, it seems to me Manny is trying to expose Mulroy and Yogotti. Okay. All you got to do is listen to Manny. He trying to omit and minimize what his client did, but in the process, he is putting a magnifying glass on others who had not been mentioned, okay, but who we knew was involved. Okay. Sherry said Straight Drop got more time than everybody, and he did less than anybody. I think Straight Drop did just as much as Cornelius, because when they hit Dog, Miss Sherry, when they hit Dog, Cornelius knocked him down. Of course, he incapacitated him. I don't believe he could have survived it, but at the same time, when Straight Drop ran up, okay, to the window, he was the one that hit Dolph in his face and in his neck. So Straight Drop did just as much. That was just overkill. Them folks was wrong for how they did that man. I mean, that's just dirty. How could they be so evil? And then after they killed him, y'all, that's why I don't give a damn about the feds going and draining every nickel they got, because that's what's gonna happen. They always talking about how the federal government trying to take down a black man. Okay, well, some of these Negroes don't know how to act when they get money. Okay, because if you get money, it seems like to me you ought to be trying to create more wealth for your family and generational wealth. But these fools feel like when they get money, it is to go and destroy the communities that help them to come up and go and pay for hits. Okay, so some people don't know how to act with wealth, and so you go take a man's life who had built his own wealth, who is helping to other people to generate wealth. I mean, it ain't no better for them. At least they got their life, even if they go to jail. Okay, even if he don't go to jail, they're gonna put him in a fight. He gonna use all them resources trying to stay out, and I don't care. Okay, I don't care. I don't care about people like that that is committing genocide in the black community. Okay. Miss Nelly said, Miss T, read my comment. Okay. I didn't see it, Miss Nelly. Oh, my head. Y'all, I'm sorry. My head is so sorry. Miss T, can the feds still get Govan even though he beat the state case? Probably on some different types of charges. If you ask me, I believe that's why Manny is letting it be known that Yogotti was involved. Okay, because he wants his in round 2, he wants his client omitted. Okay, he gonna make sure that he let everybody know that it was Yogotti. He ain't lying on Yogotti. I can see if he was lying on him. He ain't lying on him. Okay.
I got a dog feature. I got a Snoop Band feature. Yeah, man, that nigga used to love record. Shit. I'm talking about how to keep it real too. I used to be a little lying ass little nigga. I used to be a little lying ass, little bad ass, little hell.
You gotta stop lying.
You taught me how to be independent and shit too, though. You feel what I'm saying? Taught me how to put that shit on. He ain't really teach me how to put that shit on. That shit just I inherited that from my mama, but I also inherited a little bit from him too, though. So shit. Yeah. Slick taught me how to rap a little bit too, fool. Yeah.
What's your thoughts on Glock signing the deal?
That nigga lit. My dog, that nigga so lit. I love it. Them my thoughts on it. I love it. Anybody that achieve some shit like that, nigga, can't do nothing but love it. That's my nigga. Shit, I love that shit. That's more money. More money, nigga. More fucking chicken. You know what I'm saying? More chicken.
Will Paper Rail Wu ever sign a deal?
Yeah, right. Nigga, that shit on the floor, nigga. I ain't gonna even hold you, bro.
More money.
You did the game. Look, bro. You rapping so you could get signed. Like, niggas be screaming like no deal and blah, 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 blase, blase. What the fuck you rapping for? Like, you rapping to get a lot of fans and nigga to sign a big deal, nigga, so you can nigga eventually get out this shit. Nigga, just get your money. Like, nigga, that shit on the way, nigga. M's on the way, you feel? Like, but we independent though. We got the M's though. So shit. But get some of them motherfucking label money, shit. You know how this shit go. Know what a nigga in this shit for. You hear one nigga say I ain't in this shit to get no deal, them nigga ain't lying. You win this shit to make money off this shit. So you can make money independent, but it's a little harder though. You feel what I'm saying? Cause labels got all the tools and shit that you need. You just gotta negotiate a cold contract. You feel what I'm saying? Like, don't let them fuck you over. Just do your part. Nigga said I ain't in this shit to get no deal. That nigga ain't bullshit. Nigga ain't just having fun with this shit. Nigga bullshit. You feel me? Like, nigga, the objective is to rap, blow up, make money off this shit, make a lot of money off this shit while you independent. And then that's when, you feel me? That's when the label come in and wanna I want to sign you for 20 million and 15 million and shit, shit. Finna do it then. Finna go on.
But you gotta own your shit too.
Yeah.
You gotta own your shit, man.
You got to go up in there. You gotta pump your nuts up. You gotta talk to them folks. You feel like I'm going up in them motherfuckers. Yeah. Man, fuck that. You feel me? Gotta let them folks know. I own this shit. Still own this shit. But like, make a lot of music and drop this shit. You feel what I'm saying? Like, eventually just make a lot of music and drop this shit. Then when the label comes and shit, you blew up and you get to doing what you doing, all your old music and shit gonna continue making this money and that shit gonna be coming to you and shit. You feel what I'm saying? Like, that shit get to come to you and all that shit right there. Like, label just put you on a bigger platform. You don't really do shit for it. Like, it's just a bigger platform. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Does Wu still hoop?
Now, I be running a little bit, man. You feel me? But as far as like still hooping and shit, hell nah, man. I had a lot of injuries that sleep stopping me, but I can still shoot that bitch though. Them niggas want to shoot for their money. But I can still get out there and hoop and shit. Ball nigga, I'm just out of shape right now, so shit gonna be kind of hard.
Goddamn.
Shit gonna be kind of hard.
Man. You got anything else, man? You trying to
Slide dunking on the way. This tape on the way. That's what I got to say. This bitch on the way. First ever tape. My first ever solo tape. We make this shit do what it do. You feel me? Hell yeah.
Shout out to Paper Route Woo. Shout out to Paper Route Woo. Shout out to, well, I want to give the young man a shout out that I was whose video that is. Let me make sure I shout him out. His name is KT Made It. KT Made It. Let me subscribe to him. KT Made It. That's his name. KT Made It. Okay. Make sure you guys go and check him out. King Cooper says, bottom line, these ninjas all about themselves. I wish I could have met Dolph because I'm still shocked how his team let him go out like that. What you mean? Well, I don't know what you mean. King Cooper. I think they've always said that they couldn't make Dolph Dolph said he liked being by himself. He said he liked being by himself. And here's the thing, I think people like to put more blame on his team than they do for the people that actually did this. Okay. I wanted to show y'all, Govan did another interview. They just dropped another one. Okay. Hold on.
Stand, they would.
Well, Hernandez, why did you and your lawyer agree for you not to take the stand?
Because it wasn't in my best interest. I knew if I did take the stand, they would, just bring up my past, and try to make me look like a villain in front of the jury. So that was my reason for not taking the stand.
Now, you have the right not to take the stand, right? But there is an implication to that, meaning that a jury will generally look at you as being slightly guilty. Because if you don't take the stand, if you're innocent, why not take the stand, right? If you're choosing not to talk, yes, it could work in your favor, but there is a stigma around it that makes you look a little more guilty than you are.
Yeah. Well, one of the jury instructions from the judge was, just because I don't take the stand, that they can't hold that against me. So I just relied on that, and if you know the law, you know that if I would have took the stand, they could have brought everything up in my past and made me look like a horrible person in front of the jury. And that was just something that I didn't want to do.
Manny, was there at one point a consideration to have him take the stand?
Absolutely. But, when you delve deep into it, Cornelius is lying about a lot of stuff, and we sort of pointed out some of the objective lies. Govan was just going to reiterate his position. And again, because there are no text messages between these people, there's not going to be anything that says, I do not agree to kill anybody or set up anything. It was just going to be the same thing again in circles. But you also get character assassination because he's got a gun charge from like 20 years ago, and then a bunch of marijuana and other stuff that he's talked about. We sort of mentioned it to the jury that, yeah, he's the local pill dealer and he does some gambling activity. But that's just what you do in Orange Mound when you hustle. If by some miracle you don't break out of there or get some education, that's just your lot in life. And that's where he ended up.
Well, the jury was 5 men, 7 women.
Yes. Well, the interesting thing about Memphis is we start with 16 people. Nobody knows who the alternates are. So you have to talk to everybody and everybody has to pay attention. As soon as the parties rest and closing statements are over, the judge randomly draws 4 people and they're the alternates and sort of off. And then you're left with that. So the dynamics could have been a little different because we were really talking to 16 people. That gets narrowed down to 12.
Okay. So you do the closing arguments. How did you feel after doing the closing arguments?
I felt scared because to me, it was so obvious that there's just no way anybody could possibly believe Cornelius. And it was so obvious that the phone records were being manipulated in a certain way. And I think I pointed a lot of that stuff out. But you don't know after nearly a week who's listening or not. Because while the trial officially started on the 18th, it really started 4 days prior because we had multiple days of jury selection. So all that counts. And, I'd seen one or two of the jurors kind of fall asleep during the trial. So is that good? Is that bad? Who knows? You're just speculating. And so there's always that fear, and if you can't stay positive, that doubt starts creeping into your mind. Did I make a mistake? Did something happen?
Hernandez, after you heard everyone's closing arguments, and then the jury started to deliberate, did you feel good? Did you feel scared?
You want me to be honest?
Yeah.
I was upset because the prosecutor, she stood up in her closing arguments and said some things that were absolutely not true. And I was upset. I mentioned it to Manny. I mentioned it to Robert, Haley, Beth, and Handel, that I didn't agree with what she did, because she got up there and said that after the shooting, they went back to my house and they brought the car back to my house. None of that happened. And so for me, if I'm a juror and I'm hearing this, and, I don't know how much, attention they were paying during the course of the trial. I just know the closing arguments could leave a last impression on a person. And so for her to tell them that they came back to my house and brought the car back to my house, I was deeply upset about it, because this shit never happened. There is no way that I would have let them bring a fucking murder car back to my house. I've been in the streets for a long time, unfortunately. And no one in their right mind that's been in the streets would allow somebody to bring a car back to their house, or even across the street from their house. So it was just some of the dumbest shit I ever heard in my life.
This is Pod 5, the first fully immersive sleep system. Intelligent, adaptive, effortless. It doesn't replace your bed.
Okay. Says so true. Dolph had a lot of faith and was very spiritual. Y'all hit that like button. His Diane says Govan got a face and a higher power. God wasn't pleased with Dolph's demise. That's why an earthquake happened that day, and all that day was involved, and all that was involved are going to reap. Yeah. King Cooper says, then the fool Govan said he was cool with Dolph. What the F? That's why we move along, because ninjas only make people they cool with. That's why we move along, because ninjas only snake people they're cool with these days. It says Dolph was not going to live his life hiding. He wasn't that kind. Let me see, you guys. I was going to open the lines up. Hold on, give me 1 second. Let me see if I brought that phone with me. Maybe I did. Maybe I didn't. Hold on. Y'all hit the like button for me. Hit the like button. I hope I brought it. Lord, please let me have brought it. I brought all my main phones. Maybe I didn't. I haven't seen it the whole time I've been here. Yeah, hit the like button for me. I don't think I brought it. I should have. But I didn't. I will make another number, but it ain't no need to do that. I don't have the phone. And I can't believe I didn't throw that phone in here. Because I would love to hear what y'all got to say. I open up the lines for the next 30 minutes. Y'all, I have a really big purse. And I promise you, I throw everything in it. That's what y'all are hearing, but I don't have it. I don't have it with me. I got all my phones and don't have it. That phone that I used to open up the lines with. So what I have to do is, I will highlight you all's comments. Yeah, I don't have another number. Yeah, I'm trying to think of an alternative way. I guess I could do another number. Hold on. Just give me a moment. And then I'm gonna open up the line. And you all can call in. Okay, here it is right here. Let's see. Okay, we'll talk. Oh. Hold on, you all. Y'all give me one moment. Let's see. Oh shit. Okay, yeah, I think we got a number. Whereas you all can call in. I'm getting ready to put it up. Hold on, y'all. This right here too much for me. We might have to just do call-ins another time because when it started taking too much time, yeah, we'll just do it. We'll do call-ins another time because this right here is taking too much time. Anyways, y'all, make sure you all hit the like button for me. We really got 30 more minutes on. Anyways, so we'll have to do that another time. But I wish I could drop the link, but y'all know I can't drop the link because I can't. But one of the reasons I wanted to talk about this is because we're starting to see, like I said, we're starting to see certain people that people were saying was not involved. We're seeing that Manny is talking about who paid for the hit. We already knew that the person that he said paid for the hit did. Okay. Hold on, you all. Neil says, I always had a bad feeling that Tennessee was going to F this up. I have zero faith in their political and judicial system. That's why I would stay the F out of the way. You won't catch me around there. Yeah. Like I said, you know, Manny mentioned the fact that Steve Mulroy had never tried a case. Okay, that was kind of used against he definitely threw that up, and that had a lot to. I mean, I guess that was valid because I think if Steve Mulroy had ever tried it, because he's a lawyer, but he came out of law school and started working for the law school. So he's never worked in a courtroom. He's never tried a case, none of that. A skilled attorney who had tried cases that had been to trial would have understood that you don't go putting two rookies on a case this big. An attorney like Manny that has been practicing for over 30 years would eat them alive, okay? You don't take a veteran attorney off of a case that had been working on the case, okay, already. And and put two girls on there that was unprepared. You could tell that they were unprepared. It was a lot of lies that Manny told. They did not call him on. Had they been prepared and did their research, they could have called him on those lies. Okay. Um. Mhm. Justice for Dolph came into the chat and spoke about that Mr. N used to date one of the girls that was involved in Young Dolph's case. Okay. Now, Justice for Dolph says allegedly that one of the girls that was working the case was very familiar with Govan. Okay. So Cooking with Daddy said, I mean, it would seem like it. Cooking with Daddy, I would think so too. You know, because why the district attorney assigns all of the cases. He's the head person. So he decides who's going to get what case. So why would he assign different attorneys and put rookie attorneys on a case that big? That's just something that you don't do. At least if he was going to put them in there, he should have had a veteran attorney in there with them. Does he think they did it on purpose? That's possible. Right. Hagerman knew the case. He did the research on the case. So why would you take him off and put two women in there for a high-priced veteran attorney to dog walk them? And that's what he did. Manny dog walked them. Like, he put them in that position. This was not a case, and cases this big are not cases for rookie attorneys to get experience. You're talking about somebody's family. You put them in the courtroom with a veteran attorney on these cases to get experience, okay? Cooking with Big Daddy says, yes, on purpose. The trial was a fake trial. Mojo, so when you say the trial was a fake trial, what do you mean? Mojo says it was corrupt from the moment them dirty police drove all over the crime scene. Okay. Mojo says they were tampering with evidence before Dolphin went cold. Okay. King Cooper says Memphis ain't messed up. It's all a part of the play. Govan, the small guy. They want the big fish. If we don't get justice for Dolph and Gotti get away scot-free, then say they messed up. But let me ask y'all something. If Govan had been convicted, if Govan had gotten, hey, Shantastic, if Govan had gotten convicted and he had gotten convicted and then nobody else had gotten, and then that would, if that was it, would you all have been satisfied with Govan being convicted and then with Govan, Cornelius, and straight drop? Put a 1 into the chat if you would have. Put a 2 in the chat if not. Okay. You all make sure y'all hit the like button for me. Please like, share, and subscribe. Make sure you guys please like, share, and subscribe. Hold on, let me see something, you guys. Okay, so everybody's putting 2 except for Cypress put 1, Lori put 1. Cypress doing the Trump vote. We need to see a lot of 1s in the chat. I don't think anybody would have been satisfied if Govan had gotten convicted and then nobody else after that. The business says 3. Hold on. Is Alabama Hitter in here? Is Alabama Hitter in the chat? Hold on. If Hitter was in here, he probably would have said something. Let's see. Let me switch over to my other page. Okay. We got a few more minutes. We'll hey, the business. So let me ask y'all something. Now, hearing what you all have heard, it's 300 people in this chat. I need put a 1 in the chat if you think Yogotti was involved. Put a 2 in the chat if you think he wasn't involved. 1 if you think Yogotti was involved. 2 if you don't think he was involved. I'm interested in knowing what y'all and seeing what y'all got to say. A 1 in the chat if you think Yogotti was involved, a 2 if you don't. Mojo says 1. Okay. 1 if you do, 2 if you don't. So let's see. Devontae says put a 2. Divine Back Rose says 1.5. Okay. Well, I would have thought all of those who had doubt, when Manny said what he said, Manny is pointing the finger at who paid for the hit. Manny is telling y'all who paid for the hit. Well, Cypress, we know you will say that. It could be Miss Diane. Sunshine says 1. Okay, yeah, I replay the clip. Some people just come in. I'm gonna replay the clip. And I think when y'all hear this, this should change a lot of people's minds. Hold on. Y'all run the likes up for me. Let's see.
Span on Whoop. Understand which habit.
Well, Hernandez, why did you and your lawyer agree for you not to take a stand?
Because it wasn't in my best interest. I knew if I did take the stand, they would, just bring up my past, and try to make me look like a villain in front of the jury. So that was my reason for not taking the stand.
Hold on, that's not it, y'all.
Now,
Hold on. Wait a minute. Hold on. Okay, that was it. That was it, y'all. This is for those of you all that missed it.
well, Hernandez, why did you and your lawyer agree for you not to take a stand?
Because it wasn't in my best interest. I knew if I did take the stand, they would, just bring up my past, and try to make me look like a villain in front of the jury. So that was my reason for not taking the stand.
Now, you have the right not to take the stand, right? But there is an implication to that, meaning that a jury will generally look at you as being slightly guilty. Because if you don't take the stand, if you're innocent, why not take the stand, right? If you're choosing not to talk, yes, it could work in your favor, but there is a stigma around it that makes you look a little more guilty than you are.
Yeah. Well, one of the jury instructions from the judge was, just because I don't take the stand, that they can't hold that against me. So I just relied on that, and if you know the law, you know that if I would have took the stand, they could have brought everything up in my past and made me look like a horrible person in front of the jury. And that was just something that I didn't want to do.
Manny, was there at one point a consideration to have him take the stand?
Absolutely. But, when you delve deep into it, Cornelius is lying about a lot of stuff, and we sort of pointed out some of the objective lies. Govan was just going to reiterate his position. And again, because there are no text messages between these people, there's not going to be anything that says, I do not agree to kill anybody or set up anything. It was just going to be the same thing again in circles. But you also get character assassination because he's got a gun charge from like 20 years ago, and then a bunch of marijuana and other stuff that he's talked about. We sort of mentioned it to the jury that, yeah, he's the local pill dealer and he does some gambling activity. But that's just what you do in Orange Mound when you hustle. If by some miracle you don't break out of there or get some education, that's just your lot in life. And that's where he ended up.
Well, the jury was 5 men, 7 women.
Yes. Well, the interesting thing about Memphis is we start with 16 people. Nobody knows who the alternates are. So you have to talk to everybody and everybody has to pay attention. As soon as the parties rest and closing statements are over, the judge randomly draws 4 people and they're the alternates and sort of off. And then you're left with that. So the dynamics could have been a little different because we were really talking to 16 people. That gets narrowed down to 12.
Okay. So you do the closing arguments. How did you feel after doing the closing arguments?
I felt scared because to me, it was so obvious that there's just no way anybody could possibly believe Cornelius. And it was so obvious that the phone records were being manipulated in a certain way. And I think I pointed a lot of that stuff out. But you don't know after nearly a week who's listening or not. Because while the trial officially started on the 18th, it really started 4 days prior because we had multiple days of jury selection. So all that counts. And, I'd seen 1 or 2 of the jurors kind of fall asleep during the trial. So is that good? Is that bad? Who knows? You're just speculating. And so there's always that fear, and if you can't stay positive, that doubt starts creeping into your mind. Did I make a mistake? Did something happen?
Well, Hernandez, after you heard everyone's closing arguments and then the jury started to deliberate, did you feel good? Did you feel scared?
You want me to be honest?
Yeah.
I was upset because the prosecutor, she stood up in her closing arguments and said some things that were absolutely not true. And I was upset. I mentioned it to Manny. I mentioned it to Robert, Haley, Beth, and Handel, that I didn't agree with what she did, because she got up there and said that after the shooting, they went back to my house.
Yeah, that's not the one where Manny said that Yogotti had paid for. I don't think that's it. Let me see. Okay, this is it right here. Hold on, y'all. Hold on.
He said prior to even agreeing to this deal with Hernandez, that Hernandez might be working with the FBI. So my question was, well, why would you agree to? Yeah, it was just really crazy. And I think one of the reasons why I lashed out at the government, even at trial, and then subsequently just after the emotion of the acquittal happened, is I don't know how a lawyer, an elected DA, could let this thing go to trial. I understand the elected DA has never, I don't think, done a case before. He was a law professor prior to becoming a DA. And the 2 lawyers that actually tried the case were very professional, excellent lawyers, but they were put in a no-win situation. And frankly, I felt bad for them, but they treated us as professionally as anything. It's just their boss that I had a problem with.
Well, didn't Cornelius take the stand and say that he had heard that Hernandez might be working with the FBI?
He said prior to even agreeing to this deal with Hernandez, that Hernandez might be working with the FBI. So my question was, well, why would you agree to commit a conspiracy with a guy that you think might be a snitch? And his response was, well, he'd never snitched on me before, so I didn't know if I believed it. And, there's no response to that. I don't know what question you can do to follow up that one. At that point, you just say, okay.
Right, because Cornelius was also the main witness against Straight Drop as well.
Yes, well, straight up in Cornelius's defense, I mean, it was all over video, right?
Yeah.
They took the videos, they had the tags, they followed the car throughout the streets with the Memphis Police Department cameras. They saw where it went. They were wearing, well, Justin Johnson was wearing a very distinctive hat, a certain outfit. They found all those clothes. So while Cornelius was helpful in his case, the video evidence was just devastating, as well as the cell phone evidence where Justin Johnson and Jook had communicated regularly, including the night before the murder where he sent him a turkey emoji.
Well, on the stand, Cornelius also implied that Hernandez was trying to backdoor the situation through the mother of one of the artists, Paper Route Wu.
None of that ever happened. The whole paper route thing is something Justin did on his own. And we had the text messages that we presented at trial where he's talking to other folks along the way, like TZ and some other nicknames, that said, somebody saw somebody here, we're going to pull up, we might bring a stolen car, all those kinds of things. It had nothing to do with Mr. Govan.
So he basically just told you all who gave Straight Drop the drop on Young Dolph. Remember, they said that Straight Drop, Cornelius said that they had gotten a drop, that Dolph was at a gas station, and when they got there, he was gone. Basically, Manny just told that it was Teasy. It was Teasy that gave them the drop on Dolph being at the gas station. Right? I'm gonna play that back a little bit.
He's talking to other folks along the way, like TZ and some other nicknames, that said, somebody saw somebody here, we're going to pull up, we might bring a stolen car, all those kinds of things. It had nothing to do with Mr. Govan. So when you're facing life in prison, the question you ask yourself is, what are you willing to do to get out of it? And yes, there's phone records, but they don't tell you what they talked about, if in fact they talked. So you can make anything up. And if the government's buying and you're selling, you get yourself a deal.
Right. You referred to him as a pathological liar, Cornelius.
Everything. For example, Cornelius said he was shot in the shoulder, didn't get medical treatment for nearly a month, that the bullet was lodged really close to his neck or above his shoulder because it went through his upper arm. How did he not get an infection for a month? That's just beyond comprehension to me. The Mercedes that they found had no blood in it. Where did the blood go? Cornelius also said he wiped it down to try to explain where the blood might have gone. Well, we have science. We've had it for decades, where they can see with the Blue Star whether you've used bleach or anything to wipe it down. Because if it was that simple, you could wipe down any murder scene and nobody would know. And so there was no bleach. That didn't happen. The stuff with receipts or whatever he said didn't happen. The fact that he claimed that he had his girlfriend reach out to Johnson to reach out to Govan, none of that stuff happened because in the text messages, the government conflated Quet, which was Govan's nickname, with Quez. Marquez Smith is Cornelius's brother. So when he was talking about, I need the number for Quez, I don't know why the government thought that meant Quet or somehow that was a typo without realizing that his brother's nickname was Quez. And so the lead detective that's retired was one of the most honorable and decent human beings I've ever come across because he identified all those issues. And he also said, we screwed up and didn't do X, Y, and Z, like I pointed out. His colleague that's still there came out there. And if anybody, I think, objectively watches the cross-examination, he couldn't answer a yes-no question straight. It was always, well, what we mean to do is this. And then when you corner him, well, that wasn't my area. That was the second part of this. But then he has this great memory suddenly, if he wants to say something. And, at some point you get infuriated. I try to be calm, but sometimes you just have to call it out. And maybe I went over the top when I did that.
Y'all, have they taken that out? Have Vlad and them deleted that out already but I mean, I got it. When Manny talked about who paid for the lawyers. Did y'all hear me say Yogotti? Like that has been edited out, but I mean, that's the way it seems, but that's okay. What I'll do is I'll go back and play it from the beginning of the show for those who Okay, so he did. He did. Did he say it this last time? Because I walked away. Did he say it in this last time? Because the one that I just played a few minutes ago. Because if I kind of walked away. I may have missed it. He did say it in the video that I just played. That God had paid for the lawyers. Tamaria said no. Okay, well. With the 10 years. Okay. Allegedly. Okay.
And it turned out to be a blessing.
Okay, so now you're going into trial.
Yes.
Leading into the case, you have one of the shooters, Cornelius, who was essentially saying that your client was the mastermind and he was supposed to get $100,000 and pay the shooters and take a cut for himself.
Yes.
Were you worried
Y'all, this
that
is
someone
me
was actually
replaying
taking
this
the
same
stand
show from earlier.
and testifying against your client?
He wasn't the worry for me. It was going to be how the government was going to spin the phone records. The reason Cornelius wasn't a worry for us is because he was just implying that he didn't even know there was a price on Dolph's head. Dolph had performed a song not too long ago prior to his murder talking about there's a price on his head. He'd moved out of Memphis for that reason. The PRA people had shot at CMG. Dolph, as you learned during trial, actually he'd been shot 3 times in the past, and there were 3 bullets that were old lodged in his body when they did the autopsy on this case. And so even as a mediocre lawyer, the fact that the guy shooting the machine gun that essentially killed Dolph is now in bed with the state gave me confidence that he was going to lie about a lot of stuff and he would be relatively easy to trip up on cross-examination.
Right, because at the time, Cornelius Smith had been charged with murder and conspiracy to commit murder, but he had actually not pled guilty at the time, right?
He hasn't even pled guilty yet.
He was, and there's still no court date for him.
No, he was indicted in early January of 2022, and he's still pending a plea date or a trial date.
Okay, so from your point of view, here's a guy that's trying to get out of doing life in prison.
Absolutely.
By pointing the finger at Hernandez.
You got to point it at somebody. And I guess he had a deal worked out with Gotti or whatever as it came out in trial that Gotti paid for his legal fees. There was issues with lawyers and how they got the cash and what happened with it.
Okay, so it sounds like to me that Manny is saying, he says Cornelius had a deal worked out with Yogotti. Okay. He says that Yogotti paid for his lawyers. So it seems to me that Manny is saying that Cornelius worked out a deal with Gotti to put everything on Govan rather than to, y'all see they've taken that out just that quick. They've removed that just that quick. I had to go back and play the part on this show right here that I played earlier. And that says part 8, but the part 8 I just played a few minutes ago, it looks like to me they've cut it out to make sure that it didn't push back up to him. But I do believe that Cornelius did say that Juke was involved. Okay. So they've cut. Let's go back to part 8. Let's see. Maybe I didn't play part 8. Let's see, part 8. Maybe I played part 9. Let's see. I thought I played part 8 though. I think I did.
Talking about that how he's going to be coming home, everybody be cool. And that's where we were. The government then said, well, let's call your girlfriend at the time, one of 2 or 3, I guess. And she just repeated what he told her. And even then, she sort of tripped up, as we established that Cornelius, even while in jail, had his family contact her prior to her making a statement. So, yeah, it was just really crazy. And I think one of the reasons why I lashed out at the government, even at trial and then subsequently just after the emotion of the acquittal happened, is I don't know how a lawyer, an elected DA, could let this thing go to trial. I understand the elected DA's never, I don't think, done a case before. He was a law professor prior to becoming a DA. And the 2 lawyers that actually tried the case were very professional, excellent lawyers, but they were put in a no-win situation. And frankly, I felt bad for them, but they treated us as professionally as anything. It's just their boss that I had a problem with.
Well, didn't Cornelius take the stand and say that he had heard that Hernandez might be working with the FBI?
He said prior to even agreeing to this deal with Hernandez, that Hernandez might be working with the FBI. So my question was, well, why would you agree to commit a conspiracy with a guy that you think might be a snitch? And his response was, well, he'd never snitched on me before, so I didn't know if I believed it. And, there's no response to that. I don't know what question you can do to follow up that one. At that point, you just say, okay.
Right, because Cornelius was also the main witness against Straight Drop as well.
Yes, well, Straight Drop, in Cornelius's defense, I mean, it was all over video, right?
Yeah.
They took the videos, they had the tags, they followed the car throughout the streets with the Memphis Police Department cameras. They saw where it went. They were wearing, well, Justin Johnson was wearing a very distinctive hat, a certain outfit. They found all those clothes. So while Cornelius was helpful in his case, the video evidence was just devastating, as well as the cell phone evidence where Justin Johnson and Juk had communicated regularly, including the night before the murder where he sent him a turkey emoji.
Well, on the stand, Cornelius also implied that Hernandez was trying to backdoor the situation through the mother of one of the artists, Paper Route Wu.
None of that ever happened. The whole paper route thing is something Justin did on his own. And we had the text messages that we presented at trial where he's talking to other folks along the way, like TZ and some other nicknames, that said, somebody saw somebody here, we're going to pull up, we might bring a stolen car, all those kinds of things. It had nothing to do with Mr. Govan. So when you're facing life in prison, the question you ask yourself is, what are you willing to do to get out of it? And yes, there's phone records, but they don't tell you what they talked about, if in fact they talked. So you can make anything up. And if the government's buying and you're selling, you get yourself a deal.
Right. You referred to him as a pathological liar, Cornelius.
Everything. For example, Cornelius said he was shot in the shoulder, didn't get medical treatment for nearly a month, that the bullet was lodged really close to his neck or above his shoulder because it went through his upper arm. How did he not get an infection for a month? That's just beyond comprehension to me. The Mercedes that they found had no blood in it. Where did the blood go? Cornelius also said he wiped it down to try to explain where the blood might have gone. Well, we have science. We've had it for decades where they can see with the Blue Star whether you've used bleach or anything to wipe it down. Because if it was that simple, you could wipe down any murder scene and nobody would know. And so there was no bleach. That didn't happen. The stuff with receipts or whatever he said didn't happen. The fact that he claimed that he had his girlfriend reach out to Johnson to reach out to Govan, none of that stuff happened because in the text messages, the government conflated Quet, which was Govan's nickname, with Quez. Marquez Smith is Cornelius's brother. So when he was talking about, I need the number for Quez, I don't know why the government thought that meant Quet or somehow that was a typo without realizing that his brother's nickname was Quez. And so the lead detective that's retired was one of the most honorable and decent human beings I've ever come across because he identified all those issues. And he also said, we screwed up and didn't do X, Y, and Z, like I pointed out. His colleague that's still there came out there. And if anybody, I think, objectively watches the cross-examination, he couldn't answer a yes, no question straight. It was always, well, what we mean to do is this. And then when you corner him, well, that wasn't my area. That was the second part of this. But then he has this great memory suddenly, if he wants to say something. And, at some point you get infuriated. I try to be calm, but sometimes you just have to call.
Okay, it's still on there, you guys. So you all see that he pointed the finger at Yogotti. He even says that Yogotti's lawyer, Art Horn, was involved in paying lawyers for defendants. Okay, the money, he said, previously that in court, as a matter of fact, during the trial, that the money, they gave the money to Art Horn to pay these other lawyers, and they paid them in cash because he didn't want it to come back up on him. Okay, so he's calling Yogotti's name out. He's even said in the trial, Manny said during this Govan's trial that Juke didn't have that kind of money to pay for a hit, nor to pay for lawyers. So he has boldly called out Yogotti, and I think he wants for people to know who the masterminds, who the payors is, not are or is. It could be more. I think at some point that's going to come out. It probably already has came out. But I think what Manny wants to do is ensure that people know who paid for the hit. Now, if somebody pays for a hit, you have to, none of us are slow. If somebody goes and pay for a hit, why would somebody pay for lawyers? Okay. Why would somebody pay for lawyers? They would probably pay for lawyers because they're the ones that's responsible, okay, for the hit, okay, for this happening. And they would pay for lawyers to try and ensure that the people that they're responsible for getting to do this don't mention their names, okay, or something like that. So, anyways, you guys, I think this is just the beginning, especially of round 2. As I said before, we already knew like that Govan. I still believe that he played a part in it. Okay, I believe that he was the middle person. Cornelius said he was like the negotiator. I can believe that. Okay, but the people that actually really masterminded this hit came to him. Okay, and his attorney is pointing his finger at the very top person. A lot of people want to put it on Juke's head, on top of Juke's head, but Manny said Juke didn't have the money to pay for this. Juke didn't have that type of money. He even mentioned Yogotti being very wealthy, and then he said in the even in the trial, he said, "Why wasn't Yogotti and Juke brought in for questioning? Why weren't they arrested?" Okay, so like I said, he's speaking for his client, but Manny is pushing it up. Okay, he's pushing it up. So, anyways, you guys, listen. Hey, I think it's gonna be more to come. We heard from Paper Raoul. Paper Raoul looks like he's a person of few words. Okay, but he did have some words. I think that Paper Raoul was mad about. He knows that this happened. He might believe a Cornelius, or he might already know who sent it, because he said they weren't after the whole paper route. They was just at him. He did tell you that much, okay, that they was just at him. And I gotta wonder, why was they consistently at paper route Woo? What was it that, why would they want to get him out of the way? Okay. So hey, for Wu to say that he knows, I'm sure he knows some things, but he's a street guy, so he's probably not going to say a whole lot about it. But Cornelius has said that it was them that was shooting at him. Wu said it was true that they shot at him. He told exactly what happened. He said he didn't know who it was, but he told you exactly how it happened. So, anyways, like I said, we just have to stay tuned for more to come as it relates to this situation. Because I think people now are, that folks, it seems to me, people are not wanting to take, they don't want to take their own charges. Okay, so I don't think they really want to. They don't want the jacket on their back of something that they didn't do. People, that did it. Okay. Some people wanted for Yogotti to be pristine. You know, they didn't want for anything to touch him, even though, you know, everybody already had their opinions about what had happened. I think we're starting to see the veil being removed as it relates to that part. Okay. Anyways, you guys, I'm gonna get off of here because I gotta pack my stuff up. Okay. Just wanted to bless your chat one time, Tamara. But keep doing what you're doing. You're a real God is righteous. Thank you so much, King Cooper. I'm gonna get off of here because I need to pack and get myself ready so that I can prepare to get out of here very early in the morning. I should be home real early tomorrow. Okay. Myself prepared to get out of here real early in the morning. It says when Dolph got shot in Cali, was that Juke people or Gotti crew? It was Gotti's crew. It was Gotti's crew. Okay. That shot him each and every time that he was shot. It was your Gotti's crew. Okay. You have to understand Juke and Gotti are two of the same. Okay. And I don't Juke loved his brother. He loved what his brother was doing as far as CMG. I don't think he would have ever done anything to jeopardize that company, his brother's company. If Yo Gotti had an issue with what any of them were doing, and even before this situation happened with Juke, he would have disassociated himself from Black Youngster. He would have disassociated himself from Keon. He would have disassociated himself from Vato. He would have disassociated himself from all of these people that works up under his label that was consistently trying to take Young Dolph out. He didn't do that. Okay. He didn't do it. But you know why? Because that's what he wanted. They was doing what he wanted. So it's no different, you know, than his brother. Okay. So he really should feel bad. And I know Juke was a grown man or whatever, but you know, you didn't hear anything about Gotti and Young Dolph being into it for prior to his death, probably for the last before that, what, 3 years? Okay. So he continuously perpetuated this because he wanted that man dead. Okay, he wanted him dead, and so you have to reap what you sow. Okay, you have to reap what you sow. Anyways, you guys, he ought to feel some type of way, but I bet he don't. You know, you got Keon for some reason that chose to go take a charge and be away from his kids and his family to honor your God. That's why I say, what's going on with these men? Why would Keon? Because I'm hearing Keon didn't. What happened in Charlotte? Keon didn't do that. So why would he take that charge? To have loyalty to them and not his family, not his kids. So it's something wrong with that. Okay, but Keon is on paper supposedly one of his execs. This is a person that's doing time for supposedly shooting at Young Dolph. Okay, we already know they shot in Charlotte like 3 times. So it's sad. Anyways, you guys, I got to get myself ready so that I can get up out of here. Got to get myself ready so that I can get up out of here early in the morning, and I will be home. Hopefully I won't be too tired. Hopefully I won't be too tired, okay, to get on tomorrow. But I'll be home about noon tomorrow. Anyways, you guys, I appreciate you all getting on with me tonight. I appreciate you all supporting the channel and waiting for me to get on. I know I was 30 minutes late, but I've been on here with you all for about 2.5 hours, okay? I want you guys to please like, share, and subscribe. If you would like to support the channel, you can support the channel via Cash App or Super Chat. Y'all have a blessed night. It has been a pleasure. I'll talk with you tomorrow.